Good morning. I've just pulled into my parking space this morning on September 21st, I believe, and I think we're on episode 7. Again, should really check that before I push record. Today, on Running Through My Mind, I want to think about scale, or I have been thinking about scale, and I thought it would help to maybe sound some of this stuff out. I listen to a lot of brilliant people talk about their businesses and how they run their businesses, how they started their businesses, how they changed their businesses. And a lot of times it has to do with being able to scale the business. So I'm a huge fan of creating and staying true to a personal brand. One of my friends, Marketing Fun with Mike on Twitter, who is also Mike Rudd, has referred to me as the OG of personal branding, the original gangsta of personal branding. And that's because I've been doing it before it had a cool name like personal branding. I just connected myself to sharing ideas and pretty soon became literally known as the idea guy, and I've been hanging on to that name for, 2 decades, maybe longer now. Anyway, it's a personal brand, so it's mine. It's not a business brand. It's not a corporate brand. It's a personal brand. So it's tied to me. You really can't bring in somebody else and make it Don the idea guy and Joe the idea guy. Don the idea guy is the brand. So that doesn't scale well. It's one guy. So whenever I take on a project, it's me. Sometimes I work on projects with teammates, but going in, that you're working on a project with other cohorts. You've got a strategic alliance with somebody for a specific project, for a specific time period. But on a project like generating ideas for a brainstorm, it's me. Unless we've created something where it's me and a bunch of people, or I'm facilitating a larger brainstorm with a group, if you buy a brainstorm from me, it's me coming up with ideas for you. And it's real easy to get overwhelmed because it doesn't scale. It's one guy. And that can be problematic sometimes. And it's I don't see a way out of that unless I just sold group brainstorming, because I would never want people to think that I took on a project and then I jobbed it out to somebody on Fiverr who was going to come up with a bunch of ideas that may or may not be good. They could be great ideas, but they weren't my ideas. And the promise was, you pay me X and I will come up with a bunch of ideas for you. But it doesn't scale. And I've seen other people with strong personal brands shift and adjust their brands to be able to grow the business. No one's going to be able to come in and buy Don the idea guy. The business isn't going to sell to somebody because it's me. I've seen people who started out with John Doe projects turn it into business incorporated projects, because I think part of their strategy might be to serve more customers more efficiently. And that means bringing other people into the mix and allowing the business to grow using a lot of outside resources. And I think that's great. I take advantage of that. There are plenty of businesses I may have been prevented from working with certain individuals because the business didn't scale and they were maxed out. And instead of taking fewer people and increasing what they charge, which is probably the way you're going to have to scale a personal brand, they decided to maybe even lower a price point to allow a greater number of people to come in, because they did something like productize a service, which I'm obsessed with that term, productizing a service. How can I productize brainstorming? And I think that's where I went with $5 brainstorms. $5 brainstorms was intended to almost be a commodity. It's a really low price, but I get to choose the topic, and I get to launch them whenever I feel inspired to create them, or there's a hot topic in the news. When blab.im first launched, I was obsessed with it, and I had a bunch of ideas on how people could use Blab if they were in sales and marketing. So I did a brainstorm on how to use Blab for sales and marketing, and it was probably one of the top-selling brainstorms I had. Blab went away recently, so it's not around anymore, but still. And same with Periscope. When Periscope launched, I had a bunch of ideas for sales and marketers to use that, and came up with a brainstorm for that. And that sold a lot of copies of it as well. But how do you scale it? There are only so many hours in a day. There's only so many concepts that I can brainstorm in a time period. So how do you scale the individual work of a personal brand, of an individual brand? And the answer might be that you can't scale it. You can come up with the productized services. I can come up with courses. I can come up with seminars and webinars and speak to larger groups of people. But the one-to-one work, to be a true individual personal brand doing the work, still has to be one-to-one. So think about the way you serve your customers, and if you want or need your work to scale. Because I think some personal brands don't need to scale. I think that Tom Peters is always going to be Tom Peters, and Tom Peters isn't going to scale. I think that Jeffrey Gitomer, being Jeffrey Gitomer, isn't going to scale. I think he's trying to scale. I think he realized that he could only be in one place at one time giving a keynote or doing a workshop. So he originally started his own speaker bureau called Gitomer Certified Speakers, and I was proud to be one of, just a handful of people. I met some great folks who were also Gitomer Certified Speakers. There's like 18 of us maybe. And when Jeffrey couldn't be someplace or was overbooked, he could call upon one of his Gitomer Certified Speakers who he personally trained one-to-one to deliver his content in his style and manner, wrapped around the personal brand of the individuals that were recruited into the group. So whenever I deliver his content, it's not the same way that somebody else or one of the other Gitomer Certified Speakers would deliver the content. More recently, he has started Gitomer Certified Advisors, and that's more of a productized service. That's where he's bundled up his best content. He's made it available through Gitomer Learning Academy as online lessons where it's still delivered by him personally, again, his personal brand, scaling his delivery. Still his personal brand, but available to a greater number of people on demand, but it's not a true one-to-one, two-way interaction. It's very much one way. And then he has the advisors themselves who give presentations that are productized versions of his presentations, whereas the Gitomer Certified Speakers could customize their delivery wrapped around their own personalities and brands. As a matter of fact, that strengthened the delivery because you could get, let's say you're interested in, a media company was interested in getting Jeffrey Gitomer content, they could hire somebody like me who had a media company background so that I could directly apply the lessons to their environment. So I think that was helpful. But with the advisors, it's more of here's the lesson plan. You deliver the content from the lesson plan. The slides are already created. You use the exact slides. The lessons are there. And actually, Jeffrey's there by way of video. So during certain segments of the presentation, a video pops up and he's there. So if you're interested in scaling your personal brand, that would be one way to do it. But it's still not as powerful and as high impact as you being the person in the room in front of people. So that's my 2 cents worth on trying to scale a personal brand, and if it's possible, when it's possible, and when you should consider doing it and when you shouldn't consider doing it. I think it has to be right for you. And it has to be right for the people who are investing in your content and material and you. So if you want more information on Gitomer Certified Speakers, or perhaps to hire me as a Gitomer Certified Speaker for your event, you can visit GitomerCertified.com. You can also contact me directly, and I can put you in touch with Jeffrey's office to discuss availability. If you're interested in Jeffrey's Gitomer Learning Academy, reach out to me directly through this podcast or on my website at dontheideaguy.com, and I can get you a free pass. You can test it out for a limited time period. I think they've got a 5-day pass that you can check out. And I can even tell you what my favorite lessons are in there that you might want to visit first during your trial. And if you enjoy it, you can sign up, as well as the presentations themselves. If you're interested in those, give me a contact, give me a shout out, email or a tweet, and you can reach all my social media links. You can reach me via email at dontheideaguy.com. Thanks a lot, and I will see you tomorrow to discuss more things that are running through my mind. I really need to get some sort of intro or extra. Okay, bye.